We'll call to order the Senate Committee on the Environment and Natural Resources. Today is the 10th of June. We are in a very dynamic time of session right now, and we have an informational hearing scheduled on the contents of Senate Bill 965 and House Bill 3470A, carbon pricing solutions.
Good afternoon. Hi, I'm Kristin Eberhard with Sightline Institute. Sightline is a Pacific Northwest think tank focused on energy, economic, and environmental policy. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what it would mean for Oregon to put a price on climate pollution. So a question that you might be wondering is Oregon going out on a limb by even thinking about this? And the answer is no. By next year, 1/4 of all the greenhouse gas pollution in the world will have a price tag attached. So Oregon could join this movement, and there's a lot to learn from the programs that are already in place. So I'm going to draw particularly from the 3 North American programs. British Columbia's carbon tax, 9 Northeast states, California and Quebec, have already been putting a price on pollution for years. So another question that's come up is, will this hurt the economy to put a price on pollution? And again, experience says no. British Columbia has been pricing pollution for years, and their economy has been keeping pace with the rest of Canada, where pollution is still free. California has been cutting pollution while actually growing its GDP. And the 9 Northeast states have actually slightly outpaced the rest of the United States while they have been cutting pollution. And Portland State University's model showed that Oregon confirmed that this could be the same case in Oregon, that with a price on pollution, we could actually grow jobs. So another question is, shouldn't we just wait? There's the federal Clean Power Rule coming down. Maybe there's some national or international action down the line. And the answer to that is Oregons don't want to wait. As Julia said, there's a supermajority support for Oregon to stop pollution and transition to clean energy. But even beyond that, other states and provinces aren't waiting. And by taking action on pollution and clean energy, they're actually reaping benefits. So we've seen in California, it enacted its law in 2006, and it has attracted billions of dollars in private capital into clean tech ventures in the state. It's been growing its clean energy economy as a result of limiting pollution. And this is not surprising, because every dollar that we spend on clean energy solutions actually generates 2 to 3 times as many jobs as putting the same amount of money into fossil fuels. So if you think of that the other way, every year that Oregon does not price pollution and keeps buying out-of-state fossil fuels is another year that we lose the opportunity to create more local jobs in state. And indeed, last year, 1 out of 78 jobs in the United States was a solar job. So Oregon could be one of these places in the world that is opening its doors to clean energy and welcoming in the money and the jobs that comes with that, or we could choose to keep that door shut and continue to give fossil fuels a free ride. So finally, there's a question about the Clean Power Rule, and that only affects electricity. And in Oregon, electricity is less than 1/4 of our pollution. So both the bills in front of you today would price all 4 major sectors, which would get at 85% of the pollution in Oregon, which the Clean Power Rule is never going to do. But there is actually an opportunity with the Clean Power Rule. Either of these bills could be used as a compliance plan. So you could get a 2-for-1. You could actually comply with the federal rule while also keeping Oregon on the forefront of the clean energy economy. Okay, so let's say, right, we're ready to stop the free lunch for pollution. Let's put this cap on. What do we do with the money? So there's several things that we can do with the money, and California actually does a little bit of every one of them. So we can look at examples from California. The first thing that they do is help people and businesses by giving back some money to them. And the reason that this is so important is, as Dan talked about, this is for here in Oregon. The lowest income households spend 1/4 of their income on energy-related costs. Now, it's important to note that's a percentage of their income. They're actually spending less money overall than the higher income, because people who make more money make so much more money that 4% is actually a lot more money. But nonetheless, any increase in energy costs is going to hit those low-income households hard. But putting a price on carbon and then giving the dividends back to households would actually make 2/3 of Oregon households would have more money in their pocket at the end of the day with a price on carbon than they have right now without. So California gives that orange bar, they give most of that money is going back to households in a flat dividend or rebate on their electricity bill. And Reggie also, the Northeast states also set aside some of the money to go back to households on their electricity bill. And finally, British Columbia, they give all of the money back to households and businesses through tax cuts. So another thing that you heard from the opposition panel is that there are some businesses that are energy intensive and face competition from outside of the state, and they will need help with the transition to clean energy. So California spends a small amount of money because it's actually not that many businesses that meet both of those criteria. Both energy is a big cost for them, and they're facing competition, so they might actually want to move. So carefully identifying those and then giving them money to help them make this transition is important. And finally, investing in clean energy solutions. So California spends that portion of their revenue, so it's about 40%, goes to clean energy, so mostly transit, energy efficiency, and electric cars and electric freight. The Northeast states spend most of their money on energy efficiency, which is a great investment because energy efficiency is actually the cheapest form of electricity that you can buy. And again, investing in energy efficiency creates jobs, and by definition, those jobs are local because you can't fix up the house from out of state. So finally, another thing to do is to spend the money on government general fund, and again, PSU's study found that putting it into schools and roads in the state will actually help grow jobs in every part of Oregon. So in closing, I want to address an idea that came up in the opposition panel that, this is really about more pain and just pain indefinitely. This is not about more pain and making everything more expensive. This is about transitioning to clean energy. So right now, we're dependent on this energy source that's unhealthy for us, for our children, for our planet, and it's really has a volatile price. So the idea here is to break those chains and actually become dependent on clean energy. So Oregon will be much better positioned if our homes and our businesses are as efficient as possible and our energy system is as clean as possible than we will if we just try and stick with the status quo, because the status quo is not going to be the same. It is changing, and we cannot help that. What we can do is manage the change instead of letting it manage us. So in closing, the opposition said that they want a solution that's fair for all. Well, the constituents in this room and constituents who are at home, and including children who can't yet vote, they want a fair solution, and that means taking action now. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions of the panelists?
Yeah, but it would take too long.
You can get
really
in one question before we leave.
Yeah.
One question.
Well, just, I completely agree with where you're coming from, Kristin. I think that we need to take action now. One of the real challenges that we face here in Oregon that California does not is the restrictions that we have in our gas tax. And how do you see us getting beyond that? Do you see us having to somehow change the Constitution? I had a bill this session, but anyway, to allow us to do that. Can we really make progress, given that how much of our use of carbon is tied to our transportation?
Yeah. So there's one possible route is changing the Constitution to free up that money. Another possible route is it is possible that a dividend could fit into the category of credits and rebates in the Constitution, and so you could use the money for a dividend. Another possibility is that the highway fund, even though it's for highways, but there is some flexibility within that. Some of that money goes to cities and counties, and they use that for local roads. And there's actually a lot of great and important things that cities could be doing to make their roads safer, to make them safer for low carbon forms of transportation like transit, biking, and walking. And so that money would not be wasted. It wouldn't be counterproductive in the way that building more highways will be very wasteful and counterproductive.
Thank you both for being here. I'm sorry we have to wrap it up, but we are due on the Senate floor 4 minutes ago. So thank you. Thank you for everybody that helped put the panels together. I appreciate it, and we are adjourned for the day.